What's up, y'all? It's Carla, aka Sila the Poet. Happy snow day to everybody. Yeah, we are in the midst of a snow day. I didn't have to go to work today, so I basically was working here from home, but I decided to do a clip since I'm stuck indoors until tomorrow. So, tonight I want to talk about history. So I'm a person that's into learning history. Right now, we are in the midst of Black History Month, and what we've been seeing lately is more instances of racism, and it made me think about the history of where that comes from. Um, Unfortunately, we live in a society that has racism, and with our current administration, we have a leader and we have government officials that don't, they basically low key support racism and racist views. And they make other people who share their views and other racists comfortable with being racist. So there is a book called Mein Kampf. And this book was written by Adolf Hitler when he was in prison for high treason for attempting to overthrow the German government, the German Republic, and that was in 1923. He wrote the book, which was filled with a lot of racist ideas, and but the book had basically the system on what was going to lead to the Holocaust. And it started off with him with the irrational belief that there was a Jewish conspiracy to gain world leadership. He was disgruntled about German society and the problems in Germany, and basically picked the scapegoat, which would have been the Jewish people. So, and it wasn't just the Jews that he blamed in the book. He also blamed social democrats and Marxists, who he believed were working for Jewish interests. Now, does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar to the political speak of MAGA, right? That demonizes the Democrats, that calls leftists a bunch of Marxists, right? It sounds like history is repeating itself. It's the same idea in contemporary view. Okay? So Hitler wanted to create a new world order. Okay? And in this book, he talked about the destruction of the weak and the sick. He said it was more humane for destruction instead of protecting them. Okay? And one of his revolutionary goals were to expel the Jews from Germany and unify Germans into one greater Germany. Another thing that he spoke about in the Eastern Orientation policy chapter was that the Germans needed a space in the East, a historic destiny to properly nurture the German people, which was another way of saying there needed to be German expansion. Does this sound familiar? It sounds a lot like the manifest destiny idea that Europeans used, right? To basically, the mindset to colonize other lands and to come over here to the United States to claim lands that belong to indigenous peoples and to begin, using slavery. So this is history, Okay? The actions and the ideas from before are encroaching now on present time once again. When people don't know history, they are doomed to repeat it. Okay? Another thing, okay, that was in this book, it spoke about the demonization, okay, and the denigration of Jewish people. The way that they were labeled were as racially inferior and threatening, right? And the Aryans, which is what the Germans called themselves, or National Socialists, were considered racially superior, politically progressive. And when you bring scientific racism into it, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Does this sound familiar, right? Who here in this country are considered racially inferior? Who in this country are considered threatening? Well, right now, that would be immigrants, right? Non-white immigrants, people that are Latinos, people that are African Americans, okay, historically, and people that are Native Americans. These are people, right, that are considered racially inferior and that are considered threatening. So, once again, you have these same ideas from this racist manifesto that he wrote from Mein Kampf that are being played out. The ideas and the perceptions are being played out here right now in society with the politics and all of that. Okay? This book was banned for a time, but eventually the ban was lifted. Okay? And the way that Nazism started was that the people, through propaganda, okay, after Hitler ended up being made a chancellor in Germany, there was a lot of propaganda, and this book was used to gain a lot of, followers of Nazism, right? And they made Hitler into an infallible godlike leader. Does that sound familiar to what's going on today with Donald Trump? How you see a lot of MAGA people and white evangelicals that support this man talking about how he's God's man, right? History has a, tendency to repeat itself. If we do not learn from history, we are doomed to repeat history. And once again, the same racism, the same ideas about eugenics, the same demonizations of certain groups of people are happening again. And we would be wise to make sure that we don't get caught up with political propaganda and everything. We need to be able to think apart from our politics. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and racist is racist. Okay? Another thing, there is a Klansman manual that was written in 1924 by the KKK. And in Section 6, it talks about how the idea to maintain forever white supremacy is supposed to be a priority for every Klansman, okay, who will faithfully strive for the eternal maintenance of white supremacy by preserving the blood purity, integrity, traditions, and ideas and heritages of the white race in America. It sounds very familiar to the ideas in Mein Kampf. And a lot of racist, neo-Nazis, and people that are white supremacists refer to Mein Kampf as one of their major influential books. So, what is your view on that? What do you think about the things that I've just stated? History, if you do not understand it in its proper context, it will repeat itself. And my fear is that there'll be another civil war or people trying to begin another Holocaust. When you look at some of the concentration camps back then, it is similar to the detention centers where they are holding immigrants here in the United States. You don't have good food, you don't have good lodging, you have people getting sick, you have people dying in detention centers. I think that we need to wake up and we need to understand the importance of history. That's all I'm going to say for now. Peace.